This cat does not believe in giraffes. This cat believes in shooting people.
What about shooting giraffes?
They aren't real, you can't shoot them.
Only in the articles. Giraffe invasion fruit.
Diendre will find the giraffe.
And Boxer's going to shoot it as an extraplanar invader.
Hey, I'm just saying, I can totally imagine there are awakened giraffes.
I bet there'd be a giraffe with a Portland zoo, like Cassier Zoo.
If there isn't one, then some gene modder is, I don't know if you know the red book, but out of character, there's absolutely at least a couple of rich people that have like gene modified giraffes.
Hello there, Ome. Thank you for listening to the Hard Knock Sorority Podcast. In this episode, which is the first half of our 8th session in the campaign, there is a good bit of planning, both in the kitchen at Samovar and at Olga's tea house in Tacoma. One could almost say that it is all that the team does as they consider how to solve the problem of how to get paid for their first job with the creep while also capturing George Van Housen. At first, the two seem incompatible with each other, and the team really wants to get paid. Prokop scrambles eggs, Ollie drinks coffee plus, Diendre eats celery, Grace munches on a bowl of cereal, and Cecile is grumpy. Listen, chummers, we value your time, and hope you are enjoying the experience. If you are enjoying our podcast, or want to tell us how badly we are butchering the rules, please let us know in our Discord. If you are listening to us on a service that allows you to rate us, please do so. Help us to hack that algorithm with a 5-star review. Most importantly, though, we thank you for listening and hope you will continue to do so, and spread the word to your friends, please. Stay safe, conserve your ammo, scrub that data trail, and need I really say it, don't make deals with dragons.
So, we're trying to kidnap the funny police guy, right? That's the
Funny
summary.
policeman. We need to find a good place to do it.
Does he like dogs?
Well, I guess it depends on what you guys want to do, right? So if you want to complete the job for the Mr. Johnson, you need to get the recording of Kimmy telling him to, back off. So you need to get that from George Van Housen.
Mm-hmm.
Or you could say, we're gonna kidnap George Van Housen. We're gonna snatch George Van Housen off the streets and then find another way to complete the job for Mr. Johnson.
I say we let him do. Okay, actually, wait. This isn't character thing.
But yeah, we can. Are you guys ready? I'm ready.
I'm ready.
I'm ready.
I'm ready.
You've never been readier, Kerchunk.
Oh my god.
More ready.
All right, so it's the next morning at Samovar, and you guys are all very early risers.
Apparently.
So
Do they each have their own rooms?
I believe Grace and Boxer were rooming together.
Yeah, that figures.
Everybody else was individually.
Cow fowls and roommates.
Yeah. Cecile wakes up after a sort of a restless night filled with odd dreams that she can't quite remember. And sort of remembering an odd conversation that she had with the woman Talia right before she went to sleep. And the rest of you guys had your own thoughts about your situations, but other than that, you wake up and Samovar is quiet all around you. There's no movement, no sound of movement or hustle and bustle. And as you get up and go out and try to find, a kitchen or a place to eat, you find ICE is sitting in the kitchen with Prokop, and it seems like they might have worked out their differences.
For now.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, they greet you, and Prokop, shows you the coffee maker and all that kind of good stuff. Yeah.
Coffee maker with actual coffee?
Coffee
Yes.
maker, tea.
I shall consume the morning potion.
Is there anything to put in the coffee? Any fun substances for Boxer's taste?
Like fish cakes?
No, definitely not. Don't ever
Andrew
offer her
watches
fish.
Boxer put stuff in her coffee and slowly shakes her head.
If she finds alcohol, she's putting that in the coffee. That's all. I was trying to be coy about it.
Actual coffee.
Prokop asks you if you would like a omelet. And anybody who takes him up on it, he scrambles up some eggs and throws a ton of Black Russian caviar into it.
Hold
Oh
on,
my
you-
fucking
you
god!
have
He's putting
real
caviar in his eggs.
Yeah, eggs in his eggs. Fish eggs in his
Um,
That's horrifying.
Belugas are
I don't know what to think about
fertilized, right? Right?
That's
Right?
kind of horrifying.
Diendre digs around in the refrigerator until she finds celery, and then she's just like eating celery.
No, I imagine while he's mixing those eggs, Nightingale is asking, like, yeah, no, those are fertilized, right? And then she goes, right?
I don't care. They're delicious.
They're
Let
not
me have my
fertilized,
eggs.
no.
Have you
Fish
ever thought?
spawn differently, so
Even better.
This is
Guilt-free
in-
food.
in character, he says, fish spawn differently. So the beluga will, and he explains how the beluga will eject the eggs and the sperm into the water so that they can basically freely mix. So the beluga caviar is harvested directly from the fish. So no, they're not fertilized. Neither are the eggs.
Oh, okay. I can eat. I want to eat. Pretty please.
Okay. He
Are you
looks a little
sure?
bit surprised. Looks like he might have thought you were vegetarian or something.
She just smiles. She smiles so wide that he can see the gap in her teeth. And she proceeds to squirrel off at that.
Cecile has not left her room yet.
What's Cecile doing?
Stressing. She
Being
has not had the
contrarian.
materials to do her morning routine in like a week. She's very stressed. She's very upset.
Oh, yeah. No makeup.
She barges out like 30 minutes after she's up and just goes and gets some fancy tea and goes back to her room. You can
That's-
only assume she's furiously reading books.
That is most certainly Cecile.
She always like this?
She has been an interesting guest in my safe house. She shut
Didn't
herself
you
in
say
the
that safe
bathroom.
house was destroyed?
It was.
Hmm.
2 different factions, in fact. Very interesting. Not for now, though.
That does sound very interesting. Fill me in later.
Nightingale climbs up into a chair without talking and begins to gently shift back and forth on the chair. Very almost impatient, but just excited.
Yeah, Prokop sort of toasts you guys with his coffee, and then he says, "Well, I'm going to leave you to your planning, and I will be talking to you later when he leaves." So, just ice sitting there eating his scrambled eggs and his black coffee with you guys. So it's
Boxer accepted some of the eggs, the weird double eggs, and she added any alcohol she could find modestly to her coffee. She seems to be enjoying it quite a lot.
Ah, having an Irish.
You know, it occurs to me that the both of you drink copiously. Does that
What
ever
does,
affect you while you're on the job?
No, I'm a functioning alcoholic. Be thankful.
who did you mean when you said both of you?
Nightingale was also adding alcohol to her double eggs, right?
No,
No.
she didn't do that. She
I'm
said
not-
something about morning potion.
Mm.
Oh,
They
that's
just got
coffee.
a couple
Yeah.
black.
Yeah,
Diender's
just
munching
try
on a
it.
stalk of celery.
No, like, she's gone through maybe like two heads of celery at this point.
Oh God.
No, I want celery.
Just like greens and all. It's just gone.
I want to fill a bowl of
There's
carrots
nothing
and eat
left.
it.
Nightingale would have gotten coffee, but mixed in a copious amount of creamer, like an unreasonable amount of creamer. Like it looks white. Why did you mix that much creamer into it? And she also gets a bowl for the eggs. And without silverware, she feeds herself by grabbing clumps of it in her psychokinesis and very neatly popping it into her mouth.
Oh, can Cecile, before she leaves her room, could she just ascend and see if she can find any astral signatures that aren't hers in her room?
Yeah.
Anything? Any sensing test? I think so.
You didn't
Oh.
need one to see if anything existed. Just the nature of the thing.
There, but I
That would be perception to notice. Sensing would be to understand it.
Yeah.
Astral perception.
Depending upon how complex what you're noticing is, like if it's a pattern, it may be a sensing.
Yeah, and astral traces fade too. So
Huh.
the higher your roll would be, the potentially the fainter the astral signature you would find.
God, I can't remember. Astral perception.
It's labeled as a sensing.
Oh, it's just a sensing?
Yeah. not astral perception. You can also use perception in the astral, though, as in the skill.
Ew.
Yeah. Do you go into astral and take a quick look around the room, right?
She's just opening her third eye.
Yep. Everything looks pretty mundane. You see the traces of the warding, the astral shielding that seems to encompass the entire building. And it looks like there may have been a watcher spirit passing through here at some point in the night.
Mhm.
But otherwise, you don't seem like, doesn't look like anything's been in the room astrally specifically.
So no spells have gone off, nothing.
What you get is mostly your own signature, which seems to have been fairly tumultuous during the night. A lot of variation in emotion, a lot of spiking emotions. You basically see the signature of what you already know the night was like. Unfortunately, you can't remember what you were dreaming about, but you just know that it was a very unrestful sleep because your dreams were very active and alive, and you don't feel necessarily rested.
Cecile leaves and doesn't say anything to any of you and takes a cab somewhere else.
Would I see her going?
No.
Egg.
Nope. I imagine she leaves out through the front entrance. Samovar is pretty much abandoned this time of day.
Cecile is going to a cafe.
Diendre, while waving around the last for celery, says, "You know what's the oddest sensation I've ever felt? Some plants can feel pain right after they've been picked.
Oh no.
And if you live in one place for long enough, and are of my persuasion, you get the oddest sensations. And a couple times, I've eaten fresh vegetables, and I could feel it.
You could feel yourself eating it?
Yeah, I could feel myself eating the vegetables.
Vegetables feel pain?
Yes, they do.
Aren't they meant to be eaten?
Mm-hmm.
Evolution is a cruel mistress.
Indeed.
It's even worse when you can feel it while you're still eating them.
The pain is a little different than us, I suppose. Not like cognitive, just a signal that there is something damaging it, if you can understand that.
It's like a tickling on the sides of your ears. I think that's the best way to describe it.
That sounds really pleasant.
Asher's ears twitch when she hears that.
No, like less tickling, more prickling. Yeah, that's the word.
Oh, that doesn't sound good.
Or like, you know when your limb falls asleep? It feels like that.
Do you ever get that whenever you eat animals?
Can't
No.
believe what he's hearing.
Oh, well, I don't actually know. I haven't ever eaten a still alive animal. Have I?
Have you?
Have you?
That seems like a memorable event.
Not in 55 years.
I do not like your past lurking there menacingly. Nightingale promptly licks the bowl clean and floats it over to the sink and runs some water in it.
I do believe we have some actual work to be doing, after which I do have something to attend to.
Where's the Norm girl?
She's scurried out to do whatever the hell she does. It doesn't matter. What's she going to do anyway?
Should we wait until she comes back to plan? Or should we plan our own and then
I thought we're going to need a college education to pull off this heist.
Wow. So teensy little issue there. Whenever you're doing something dangerous, the more eyes and hands that you have on the matter, the better. Like, generally speaking, is a general rule. There's 3 of us. The guy could be bringing. No, there's 3 of us here.
He's a very prepared, trained college guy.
I mean, he's a bit of a go-go-go, so I don't know if he really matters, but...
Wait, what did Diendre just say?
I just called ICE a go-go-go.
A go-go-go?
Yeah.
Biker ganger.
A go-go ganger.
Yes, this is definitely Diendre slang. We've heard this one before.
We have, actually.
We've seen this before.
I have said go-go-go many a time.
A go-go-go gang.
I think I've said go 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 literally every session.
No.
All right,
gonna be
we're gonna
your
add
catchphrase.
that somewhere in our slang terminology for the gay
No,
men.
I swear that's from the book.
It's just dumb enough to be Shadowrun.
Go go
said
go. A
three.
Viking or gang member.
Why couldn't it have just been two? It would have
Well-
been better if it were just two. And I say that as someone who thinks three is suspicious.
A go gang is a motorized gang. So a go 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 is a go gang ganger.
Hanger. Yep, go.
I mean, I feel like that's a little rude to Ice. Ice has muscles, says Nightingale.
I've been very rude to Ice. This is not the start of this.
Yes, but Nightingale is now protesting. She's defending the white nationalist fifis.
I
I
think
is just sort of eating his breakfast, listening to you guys with a face that can only be described as tolerating.
I think Diendre like shoots Boxer aside, or who was it that said that?
It was Nightingale.
Okay, shoots Nightingale like a side glance, and I don't take advice from a horse that eats with its mind.
Pardon me?
You're
That
a
horse
horse.
is one of your
Mhm.
teammates.
Mm-hmm.
That horse is someone you will be relying relying on with your life.
Yes.
Yet you do not trust her to speak to you.
No, I trust her to speak to me. It's not like something idiotic will come out of her mouth.
Then
I
why
just-
are you opposing what she says if she is not saying anything idiotic?
Because I really don't care.
I says, look, I appreciate the comment, but it doesn't matter. I mean, the elf woman can say whatever she feels like about me. I get it.
Oh, okay.
I think Diendre just kind of raises a hand, like, point. There's my point.
I says, look, about last night, I was feeling a little bit off after meeting George Van Housen. It brought up a lot of things that have been suppressed for the last 20 years. So if I was acting a little bit, no, let's rephrase that. Since I was acting a little bit churlish, I'll just tell you that I was born in Seattle, and one of the problems that I had as a youth was a reaction to my parents being killed in the Night of Rage. It's not something I've thought about for a long time, but when I was younger, it colored my worldview, and my view, he looks directly at Diendre, especially of elves. So sometimes that still comes out if I'm feeling when the facade's a little worn thin, if you understand what I mean.
Well, Ice, if it makes you feel any better, I was in Shirshangire during the Night of Rage, so you know that I had no hand in it.
No, I never thought that. It's just, as a youth, I blamed anybody who looked like you.
Mm.
And being back in Seattle after so many years and seeing Prokop and sort of getting a lot of events that had gotten pushed out of my mind for a long time stirred back up. And the prospect of seeing people that I thought were dead potentially, it's got me in a little bit of a turmoil internally. So
Yeah. I
old
can tell you
habits are
about that.
resurfacing, unfortunately.
I can tell that took a lot out of you.
Yeah, it was a long time ago, but it's still there.
Do you want a hug or a pat on the back?
No, I do not want a hug or a pat on the back.
How do you give hugs?
Well, back home, the closest thing that we had is that, like, we wouldn't wrap our I guess, arms, so to speak, and she raises a foreleg, around one another. We would just, like, lean in and, like, crane our necks around one another. But, I mean, I can rear up and, like, wrap my legs around someone, so not
I'm
really
just
that
trying
different.
to imagine you wrapping your neck around mine.
That seems less comfortable than a normal hug.
It's not just it's leaning into the person and just kind of embracing them, but not with your arms, with like your body.
No,
And
no,
because-
that part's fine, but the like rearing up forelimbs thing, that sounds less comfortable.
Well, yeah, but it's I feel like people wouldn't get it if I did what I normally do.
Ice looks at you guys and said, have you guys ever heard of an animal called a giraffe? I believe they've been
No.
extinct for about 40 years or so.
Everyone knows that giraffes aren't real. They are a myth made up by movie companies so they can sell things about exotic creatures. Honestly, people these days.
When Boxer says that, Diendre starts giggling, which you have not heard Diendre do yet. It sounds awful. Like broken car, almost. Like it does not sound like a normal giggle.
I'm sorry I caused you pain.
I've seen a giraffe. Actually, I might have a picture of one.
I
It's a
sincerely
giraffe.
doubt that. It is a fantasy creature, and she pointedly looks at Diendre, with an excessively long neck that supposedly ate leaves from trees that I'm pretty sure don't exist. And it has existed by somehow being an aberration so terribly against nature in a time before magic that it just existed somehow.
Diendre pulls up her comlink and starts digging through her phones or her pictures.
Ice looks a little bit startled at Diender's giggle, and then when Boxer responds, he looks at Boxer and he says, "Well, that's exactly my point. You see, that's how giraffes used to hug each other too.
Fantasy creatures.
Wrap their necks around each other. That's also how they used to fight.
See, this is ridiculous. Those necks would snap in a second. They're too long. They are too long.
After a few minutes, Diendre turns around a picture of a very, very young girl standing in the middle of the road with a giraffe right behind her.
You just got this from the internet or
No,
something.
this is a picture of me.
Right, sure.
Mm-hmm.
Miguel's eyes go wide, and she makes a very exasperated gasp.
In I think it was 2018. I was 6. I don't remember. I remember this picture being taken because we spent 3 hours running from this giraffe.
Running from it. What
Yes.
is it going to do? Wrap its neck around you and choke you?
No, but they can swing their necks at a frightening speed. This one.
I've seen those before. I've seen those before. We have some of those in the frontier. They're really aggressive.
You're kidding me.
No, I'm not.
So they invaded from another plane? That I can believe.
I think this one escaped from a zoo.
A zoo. Right. They would be able to fit that in a zoo.
Mhm.
Right.
I mean, I believe it. I also believe that metahumans are crazy enough not to recognize that thing's extraplanar origins.
Yeah. That thing is absolutely not from our plane. Fine, I can see it exists, but it came from her weird realm of things.
I think
Not
my
exactly,
dad's photo
actually.
album has some from before the awakening.
Oh, that's the
From
thing.
the
They were
fifth
the
world.
first awakened creatures. We know there were awakened things that came in, like the first early emergence of elves, dwarves, all that.
No,
They
like
are one of those aberrations. It makes perfect sense.
Polaroids from the 90s.
Yeah, and they
But
just
that doesn't track with the awakening, does it?
Actually,
awakened.
Boxer, a small correction. I'm pretty sure those things aren't native where I come from. When I say the frontier, I mean parts of Equestria that we took in from the Aether. They
So
probably
they invaded
came.
from the Aether. They're like the bugs. They're dangerous.
Nightingale just smiles and nods. I guess.
So we know that Boxer doesn't believe giraffes exist now.
Paul, how long has it been?
Cecile, you are at the tea house that you were at last time here in Tacoma, enjoying a very pleasant environment of a Russian tea house.
Has Cecile eaten?
Would she like to eat?
Yeah, she is having a small breakfast. And then she will also... Does she know where the meet is happening?
No, so far nobody's actually set up a meet or otherwise talked about having a meet.
Okay, cool. Then
So
she's just
you're
having
at
breakfast.
Olga's tea room, which is sort of a Russian tea room in a renovated townhouse that serves a variety of imported teas and coffees, especially from Russia and Eastern Europe. They're famous for their Turkish coffee, and their various Russian tea blends. And there's always at Olga's. There's always a good opportunity for people watching.
Yeah, Cecile's just having breakfast. But anyway, Cecile's off doing her own thing right now.
At a certain point, Grace would probably say something about that. Like, by the way, I didn't bring it up sooner because I didn't know if it would be appropriate, but, whenever Cecile, kind of ducked in and ducked out, she didn't look like she was feeling very well.
Of course not. She's a soft, college girl. She has no idea what she's doing, and I'm not surprised that she's freaked out by it. She should be. She doesn't belong in
You
this kind of
think-
life.
We can't have anyone going in tonight with spare
Frankly,
nerves.
I don't think she should go in at all. I think she is a liability. I don't care what magic she has. I don't care what other skills she has. She is untrained, unprepared. She doesn't know the risks. She has no idea what she's getting into.
Shouldn't we, like, check her? I feel like...
You're right. We should check on her.
In this situation, the safest place for her to be would be at the edge of the fight, rather than out of our line of sight.
Yes, I can see it. Fine.
And she's...
Can the girl drive? Says Ice.
I have
I
no
don't
idea.
think so.
Cecile has driven you places.
Yes, she can.
In a grid guide.
Does she drive the grid guide? So that'd be kind of a departure from grid guide.
It becomes
Actually, Cecile
a
had
guide. She hasn't driven us anywhere.
No, she
Driven.
has the van.
Yeah, Nightingale is gonna be like, well, actually, she does. Don't you remember when she drove us in the van? Don't you remember?
The question is, can she drive well? 'Cause I don't mean to flatter myself, but I can drive pretty damn well. And unless I am. Alright, that's a fair point. I'm sorry, I'm talking to myself here. I may not be disposed to driving.
Maybe you shouldn't drink the head spinny juice.
That'll be fine.
I can drive. I just don't like driving large vehicles with my bike.
Yeah, don't I feel that sometimes? But it's necessary, I suppose. Unless she can drive properly. You know what? Does anyone have a comm? I think I have. Yes. And she pulls out her comm and quickly texts with her mind, or her eyes anyway. Cecile, how good at you? How good are you at driving?
Well enough? Question mark?
If Norm Girl is being shot at, do we think she'd still drive well?
She texts her again. How would you do if you were being shot at? Smile. No.
What the effect?
Nightingale interjects while she's texting and says, I really don't think you should drink the head spinny juice, by the way, Boxer, because your mind is, like, visibly darkened. I don't think it's good for you.
Girl, you think
Still-
this is dark? I haven't even drunk a full coffee yet. You should see me get down a whole bottle. Then you'll see dark.
Nightingale just grimaces.
Cecile
I'll be fine.
responds, not very.
There we go. There's her answer. She can't drive a shit when she's being shot at.
I couldn't either, to be fair.
Yeah, well, I've been shot at and I've driven, so I think I'll be fine. If I have to be.
The van has a dog brain, right?
Yes.
Can we program the dog brain to stay right behind my bike?
Are you a programmer?
No.
I'm not.
Can we set it to do that, though?
I mean, I don't know. Maybe?
yes. Answer is yes.
So, I park my bike in front of the dog brain, and then if I get on my bike and drive off, the dog brain follows.
We'll have to disconnect it from the grid in order for it not to adhere to silly little things like road safety laws. For that,
do-
I suspect we will need someone with programming expertise.
Like Cecile.
Like the Norm
God
Girl.
damn it. Yes, like Cecile. This one won't get a shot if she fucks up. So, yeah, let's do it. She's useful. Yay. Boxer does not like Cecile.
Visibly
Anyhow.
darkened.
Boxer is a little bit drunk and does not like Cecile.
If we can't, I think I could train Cecile to drive while she's being shot at. I just need an extra
how are you
day.
going to do that?
I'm going to purchase some blanks and shoot at her while she's driving.
That sounds like something she would hate very much. She has magic, you know.
Yes, I know.
Are you implying that she's going to like chuck magic at
Maybe.
So, Ice says, you know, we could probably get this. We could probably get George without gunfire, right? If we do this right.
If it doesn't pay to hope to plan around the best possible course of events, we must prepare for the worst, and the worst has to work around her.
Give the girl a call and see if she can come in here so that we can, or we can meet somewhere so we can talk this through.
No, wait, hold on. I asked earlier, but no one told me. Does the guy that we're going to snatch, does he like dogs?
Ice chuckles.
Oh,
Did he give us
I
his
stood there.
online?
I believe he did, so that we could
He gave us his
tell
card.
him
That's
when
what he did.
He gave you a card, like an old school physical card with his phone number or his comm number on that Diendre picked up.
Diendre pulls out of her trench coat, which she's still wearing even though she's inside, the card. We could ask it.
Well, I think that it'd be a little bit suspicious. Besides, we have someone who should know something. Have you seen with dogs? Has he done anything with dogs? Dog person? This is the Ice.
I don't know.
Fair enough. He has to have social media of some kind. I can probably figure it out. How many points in computers does the shooty cat have?
Enough to play video games.
Indeed. She has two. So she's gonna look up the dude to see if there's any dog pictures on his social media. Where's the? Do I just roll computers for that? Computer.
Sure.
3.
What exactly are you looking for?
Him with dogs. She's gonna go by volume and by stated liking of the dog. But basically, she's just looking for anything connecting him to dog.
Jim Ansel?
Mm-hmm. Our sergeant.
There is no social media presence for Sergeant Jim Ansel.
Well, she has pictures of him. She's going to do a search for pictures of him with dog. Reverse image search, I guess, kind of. This guy appears to have no internet presence that I can no, what's it called? Matrix. This guy appears to have no matrix presence that I can discern, and I have no info. Oh well. Maybe he'll want to pet the doggy if it comes close. But what was your idea?
If we had to lure him somewhere, I was thinking maybe doggy, but I realize we can do that already. Bigger thing. I'm thinking. So, do you? How do I put this? I was rope. Does anyone have rope? Like a long rope, something that could hang on, something that would be over an alleyway.
Okay, time to look for rope.
Preferably strong enough to hold up a grown metahuman.
Are
like
you
that one.
Are you going to try to snare trap a chief he's a sergeant of the police? Are you going to try to rope trap him like a snare?
Yeah.
Don't you need a flexible material for that?
I have a gun, I have shock rounds. Honestly, also I can probably beat the fuck out of him. Honestly. We don't need a fancy rope trap.
Wait, does Surge make you really strong?
No, I'm just that good. Is she that good?
Ice looks like he wants to say something and then he thinks better of it.
Honestly though, we want to talk to him. We want to get lovely information out of his pretty little head.
That's why I'm thinking that maybe we shouldn't, beat him senseless or render him unconscious.
We'll have a chance to talk to him first, And then if that doesn't work, we can beat him senseless and drag him back to the Samovar and interrogate him here.
Alright. I guess that means I should stay back for a rifle.
Again, Ice sort of looks a little bit like he wants to say something and then sort of thinks better of it.
The boxer knows this, but she too abstained from comment.
Are you okay, Ice?
I'm fine. I'm just listening to you guys. I do think we need to get Cecile involved in the discussion. I also don't think we should underestimate George. He is a formidable foe. He was even in the 2050s as a police captain and head of a high threat response team for Lone Star.
There is no man above 5 sticking shock rounds.
So we summon Cecile. Second, we talk about whatever we're planning to do. So let's do number 1 first. And Diendre pulls out her fucking iPhone 6s comm and calls Cecile like cell phone call.
Anyway, Cecile picks up.
Cecile, where are you?
I am at a cafe eating breakfast because the workday hasn't started.
Look, day.
Diendre listens for a second. Olga's?
Yes.
We'll be there in 25 minutes.
Oh,
Ugh.
lovely.
God, that's some stupid posh. Ugh. Isn't
She
it?
hangs up.
Who's been to Olga's? Was it just Cecile and Ice?
Cecile, Ice, and Diendre's been there before, probably on her own. She's probably visited every coffee shop in the city. Every place that has soy calf or coffee in the city. They have Turkish coffee.
Ooh, probably.
Right? Paul literally said that they did, so...
Yep, they've definitely they're known for their Turkish coffee, as a matter of fact.
Do they have a portly dude sitting in one of the chairs by the counter?
No, but they do have... It's a good place for people watching because... Well, it's a good place for people watching.
So... The second Diendre is off the phone, she stands up and goes, "Let's go.
Where are we going?
We're going to meet Cecile."
In some ridiculous, stupid, posh tea bar. Who drinks tea?
Their coffee's pretty good there. It's Turkish.
I can accept this.
I actually kind of like tea.
It doesn't have any
I don't know.
alcohol in it, if that's your thinking.
Well, I like the equivalent of tea, and I like the better teas here, but like a lot of the tea is just kind of underwhelming. It just tastes like someone like put flowers in water and let it sit there for like a few hours and then told you to drink it. Metaphorically, of course. I don't know what that would taste like here. Anyway, yeah, let's go to Cecile. Nightingale gets up. I'm gonna go get my stuff and squirrels off.
You guys just don't carry everything around in a big belt?
No.
You can fit all of your equipment on a big belt? You clearly aren't prepared enough.
Not all of it. Diendre, like, sweeps her jacket to the side, and some of the stuff is on, like, the inside, and some of it is on the belt on, like, several pouches.
A respectable method of carrying things around.
There's 2 swords on one side and a gun on the other side, with, like, you can see all her, like, rounds put in separate, what are they? Magazines.
I would love to carry everything I need, but I would end up carrying thousands of rounds of ammunition, which seems like a bad idea.
If you get in a fight and
need
you
that
use up more than 36 rounds of ammunition in a hand, you've lost the fight.
Ice is just standing there waiting.
If I carried everything I had, I would be carrying a lot, is my point. All my equipment.
Ice does not appear to be armed. He's still wearing his 2050s clothes that seem really tacky and out of date these days.
Boxer is just relatively casually dressed. Leather jacket, sidearm. She has her fancy. She has a weapon that firearm enthusiasts would recognize as a rather remarkable piece, especially to be seen on the street. And just clothes otherwise. No ballistic vest or anything.
He says, I imagine if once we've got this planned, we've got a couple of hours. We can always come back here and get geared up. I don't feel like walking around the city with an arsenal on my back.
Sounds reasonable.
I'd leave my gun here, but it's like too much of a hassle to leave it somewhere.
I don't go anywhere without this thing if I can help it.
Anyway, in a fight, I'd probably pull out my sword. Diendre would probably say the name of her sword, but I can't remember it.
Diendre remembers that Ice picked up a sword at the armory last night, too.
Nice. How trained are you at a sword?
Well, it's been a while, but I'm probably still fairly decent with a sword.
If we have some time, would you like some de-rusting?
Ooh,
Sure.
I would like to watch this, if it is alright.
Well, that'll probably end up after our planning, but you're on. Go, go, go.
Indeed. It was back in the day when I thought, he sort of chuckles. I'm trained in Western swordsmanship, so that might tell you something.
What, like HEMA?
HEMA. I don't know what that is.
Historical
Like what?
European martial arts.
Oh,
Human European martial arts?
Historical European martial arts.
Oh.
In the original sense of the word, that being old military shit.
I think your human European martial arts would have probably been more applicable to my frame of mind back then.
Well, to be a member of the Peace Force in Tertangar, you have to be trained on a blade. I picked up a rapier because it seemed like the more elegant choice at the time.
Elegant. Well,
It's
I can appreciate that sometimes.
brutal, I'd say, but they're about the same, I think.
As long as it works, it works.
I mean, I personally think guns, guns, they're nicer to the person on the receiving end, but meaner to the person doing the shooting, if that makes sense.
I would disagree. Getting into it with, and she pops her claws, these would be a bit unpleasant for me as compared to pulling a trigger.
My second partner carried a Zweihander.
Oh my god. So unnecessary.
It was something. He was a jackass.
What are they expecting? To go up against armor? The traditional sense.
No, the sword thing for Tirtangar is a tradition they made up, just like everything else. But
Ice just chuckles and he looks at you and he says, "Elves, right?"
And Go actually ducks out
I
and he
think-
goes
I
to
think-
get all of her kit together.
Diendre is like silent on that for like a solid second, and then just continues.
Yeah. You can tell Ice is sort of trying to get a rise out of you. All right, so Cecile, as you're sitting there, you're probably on your second cup of tea or coffee at this point,
Correct.
and you see the gang rolling in,
She sighs and waves them forward.
and you give me a perception test, please.
Perception. Okay. None.
Yeah, they come jandering in, and you wave them over, and they walk up to your table and sit down, and one of the waitstaff comes over and takes their order. That's all you perceive. Any of the rest of you want to give us a perception test?
Coming in.
Diendre is crazy enough that she'd stand around for a few minutes before she entered somewhere.
Boxer's not going to be standing around, but she is used to scanning her environment as though...
Diendre, if you have any kind of police procedural stuff, you could roll that too.
I do, actually.
Would you count security? Let's see. Like, we're talking knowledge skills?
Yes.
How about security tactics or combat tactics?
No, then I would just go with perception.
3.
Diendre's very perceptive, I've noticed.
I think that's kind of her thing. At this point,
Nightingale,
that and beating things over the head with a sword.
Nightingale, you're just curious about this place. It seems pretty. The decor is interesting, and it smells good, and the people seems happy and satisfied here. Diendre, you pick up on something as you walk in. Takes you only a half a second. There's it looks like there's a security person, or they're dressed to blend in, but somebody sitting in the back is obviously security to you now that you notice it. And you look around and you see how some of the people look at the group when they come in, and you recognize this from your police days as this place is obviously a front for something, probably by the way certain people reacted to ICE coming in, potentially There's probably something upstairs that they're selling.
So, Ice, you been here before?
I think you and I have been here before.
Well, you came here with a seal, I'm pretty sure, while I was running around doing stupid shit.
Ah, right. That was Cecile.
Yeah. I thought you liked norms, Ice.
Yeah. Box, you sort of pick up on the same thing that Diendre picked up on, is that there's a security, somebody sitting in the back acting as security, and there are definitely two tiers of clientele here. The clientele that's here for the tea, and there's clientele that's here for something else.
Well,
But
she,
nobody seems to be thinking of you guys in those terms.
she's a little more on guard now, but she's not going to do anything. Not even twitch.
Down and he looks at Diendre and he says, "Well, I do like the normies. You're correct."
Which, by the way, once they come in, Nightingale, borks, and she, breaks off from the group and goes and runs to, get up underneath the table and sit near to, Cecile. She actually climbs up into the seat beside her. She's disguised as the witchy dog.
Cecile moves her tea away from the dog.
I'm sorry, is anyone else imagining like a corgi as the dog instead of like a normal dog?
What did we even establish the dog as looking like?
German Shepherd.
I thought it was a German Shepherd.
Yeah. I think I knew that, but I don't know, my imagination just can't put the corgi down.
Headcanon is corgi.
Here.
So, are we discussing our work this early in the morning, or?
Well, we need a location, we need to scout it, we have a large amount of things to do. We have to prepare everyone. Oh, Paul left.
They killed him right in front of us.
Hey,
he's
he's
risen
back.
from the dead.
So, first of all, we need a location.
I said, "Well, so what are we doing? What's our plan here? Are we still going to complete the job for this Strecky Mr. Johnson, or?"
I see no reason to renege on our agreement with the Johnson.
We complete the job. We use the Mr. Johnson to lure in whatever his name is, the norm.
They're all norms.
Whatever location we choose, we need to make sure that they both agree to it first, which, considering we have to get two disagreeable people to do so, might take a little while.
Well, we know that the sergeant wants to take care of his people, especially since said person appears to be one of the people who are going on the up and up, whether by them being favored or them simply being that good. Either way, they are valued, which is to say that he's willing to take action to protect her from this creep, and said creep seems to be pretty intent on creeping. What I'm saying is, they both have incentive to encounter each other. We tell our original Mr. Johnson that our sergeant would be conveying the information to him as we have arranged. He pays us, and we let them meet. We interrupt their meeting once whatever they do has been done, or after our original Mr. Johnson leaves, and we can ambush the sergeant in whatever manner we find appropriate. That being said, I do believe we should secure the area around it, because if I were him, I would not come alone.
There's one problem. Prokop wants us to keep the Mr. Johnson alive.
Yeah?
That will be a
And
problem?
we're going to let him leave. He can go. And
Well,
the sergeant can be finished with him.
The Mr. Johnson is our bait. So if we let the Mr. Johnson go, the cop will chase the Mr. Johnson and us.
The Mr. Johnson doesn't have to be there when the cop comes.
That's right. He
Indeed.
doesn't.
Or we can have him in a building or other secured place. Tell him we wanted to keep him there because he's too stupid to take care of himself in the open. And, well, he doesn't have to come out before we take out our Mr. Johnson. So, our target.
And to complete the job for the Mr. Johnson, we need what George Van Housen has. George is going to get us the recording of this Kimmy person. which is going to satisfy our contract with Mr. Johnson. So we need to get that from George Van Housen, use that to
How do we know
complete
that
our
he's
mission.
going to do it at all, and
Because
not
he
just like
cares.
bring his squaddies in and grab the person and leave?
Please,
Because
please, there's
he's
a
not-
He agreed
simple
to it.
solution to this. We just ask Mr. Housen that he please not arrest our Mr. Johnson, who will be at the scene, until after we've been paid for our work. Then we allow him to be arrested, and then we attack.
That will
Okay.
work.
George is not there going to be there to arrest this guy.
Exactly. He
Also,
wants to take care of him.
we can't trust George because he's shadow racist. He doesn't like us. He thinks we're a bunch of scumbags.
Yes. George Van Housen in the 2050s led a group of vigilantes known as the Shadow Riders, whose sole job was exterminating Shadowrunners.
And that is I want a little area of operation to be secured. I'm willing to sweep this area, and in fact, I'm also willing to have certain individuals within Knight Errant whom I know to ensure that any outgoing members are duly known of. It will be a favor, certainly, but, well, we have two options. You can either sweep it manually and establish a sort of perimeter the old-fashioned way, or we can do this with a little more guile. Diendre, I do believe you are connected to lovely law-making corporations.
We've got a few friends in Knight Errant.
I don't
Not very
suppose
good
you
ones.
could. I don't suppose you could get them to keep you in the loop as to any outgoing members, especially within our area of operation, which is it set? If it's not set, I want to tell them to come to us in a position that is. We're going to have to balance two things.
We're going to have
there's-
to meet in Auburn then.
As long as it's not near my. There's an area that's off limits.
Because Nael lives in Auburn and he goes on beat there.
It's
That's
interesting
what's
because
coming.
that's where Boxer's contact works too.
Yes. So we asked our contacts to keep us in the loop on Knight
she doesn't know
Errant.
that.
No, that was out of character. Sorry.
She doesn't know that yet. And Boxer's going to keep that to her chest for now.
So, Housen isn't going to just show up if we tell him to show up, right? Like,
We need to give him a compelling reason. And our compelling reason is Mr. Johnson being a creep.
Well, the first reason he's going to show up is to give us the recording of this Kimmy person, right?
He doesn't have to.
And the second
just-
reason is to get rid of Mr. J, which we are
Why would he-
unfortunately.
Meet
No.
us in person to give us the recording.
He seemed to be pretty intent on dealing with Mr. Johnson.
He could now to give us the recording. He could just send it over the, or he could drop it off somewhere and we could pick it up later.
Well, we have his number.
He doesn't want to incriminate himself as much as we want to incriminate him.
Oh,
So
that's incrimination. We are getting him.
yes,
doesn't matter.
that's correct. Sorry, habit of my previous line of work.
Indeed. And this is my caution.
Well, so we get the recording from Mr. Johnson. I think we should ask him for it. Ask him to send it to us over the Matrix. We
Sure.
meet the Mr. Johnson somewhere, and play him the recording, and then send it to him via the Matrix. Then, when we have previously notified the Van Housen of the meeting location, he shows up. We kind of
okay.
We
If
need to
don't
protect
trust
the-
Mr. Van Housen, then what we should do is we should ask for an in-person exchange with Van Housen for the recording. And we don't have our Johnson anywhere in the area. And then we say, we're going to bring you in when we give this to the Johnson. That way, he doesn't know where the Johnson is. And if he's going to kill us, he would kill us right there and just go get the Johnson on his own. Take care of things one at a time.
All right.
And if he isn't just going to go spend his precious time looking for this Johnson, then we have incentive for him to not immediately shoot at us, right?
Aren't our plans the same? Just mine doesn't require us to meet twice in person.
Well, if we get the recording via the Matrix, then obviously he's going to want us to point out where the Johnson is so he can shoot both of us at the same time.
Well, we just tell him where the meeting spot is and give him either a wrong time, so he shows up after the Johnson has left, or tell him to show up after the Johnson has left.
If I were
This
him,
guy
I would.
is so confident he's not going to check the meat before he shows up.
If I were him, I would have cameras on that before I got in, and I would want to confirm that this person is here.
Exactly.
And you think he won't?
We could send him the meet time and place and time only when we're already there.
I think
with
it's
the
a better
Johnson.
idea to we should probably well, the Johnson doesn't actually have to be there for the second meet. We can meet with the Johnson somewhere else, and whenever we bring the quote unquote Johnson, it can be, as I had suggested, a reasonable looking decoy that they would be able to see. Something that looks like a man, perhaps sitting on something or sitting in a car.
And if they have a mage with them to sense it?
They wouldn't be able to if it was in a car because of glass.
Alright.
I don't see the need to invoke illusions. We can just set up a circumstance where Mr. Hausen would not expect our Johnson to be there for our initial meet. Then we take care of that, and then we tell our Johnson, we took care of everything, don't worry about it.
Here's your recording. Here's your recording.
ICE chimes in. I think that's the plan. We meet with Van Housen to get the recording. We get the recording. We take Van Housen, and then we can meet with the Johnson at a later time, give him the recording, finish out that deal.
Okay.
The Topps Company, Inc. has sole ownership of the names, logo, artwork, marks, photographs, sounds, audio, video, and/or any proprietary material used in connection with the game Shadowrun. The Topps Company, Inc. has granted permission to the Hard Knocks Sorority podcast to use such names, logos, artwork, marks, and/or any proprietary materials for promotional and informational purposes on its website, but does not endorse and is not affiliated with the Hard Knocks Sorority podcast in any official capacity whatsoever. The music for the Hard Knocks Sorority podcast was written and performed by Trace Mineral. The Hard Knocks Sorority podcast is licensed under a Creative Commons License 4.0, meaning you are welcome to use the material as long as you give us credit.